By now, you've probably seen this mural of George Floyd on national news and across social media. It's painted here in South Minneapolis at the intersection of 38th and Chicago, where George Floyd was killed by former police officer Derek Chauvin after he pressed his knee into Floyd's neck for nearly 8 minutes. Within hours, the intersection became a sacred space for the community to gather, grieve, and organize. 3 days later, this colorful mural appeared on the wall of Cup Foods, the store Floyd visited just before he was killed. It quickly became a fixture on social media, a backdrop for national TV news, and even a centerpiece at George Floyd's Minneapolis memorial service. But what you may not know is that the mural itself has actually raised concerns about representation in the art responding to Floyd's killing. The mural's prominence and how quickly it was done drew criticism from artists and activists that its creation, without the input from Black artists or community engagement, didn't represent the people most affected by Floyd's killing. The situation started a discussion about who's creating the art at the heart of this movement and why that matters.
Many of the artwork that was popping up were from outside of the neighborhoods, outside of the community. And some people were upset by that. Let's say it's a white artist coming into a prominently Black and brown neighborhood and they're just slapping their artwork up. Now it might be beautiful, but we haven't even had a chance to grieve, and you're kind of taking over our spaces.
Hi, I'm Alexis, and I'm with the Star Tribune, and this is Tomorrow Together. George Floyd's killing in Minneapolis sparked a wave of protests across Minnesota and the world. It also created an explosion of public art. As the civil unrest calmed, buildings across Minneapolis became a place for expression by individuals and communities whose voices are normally underrepresented or ignored. Some was graffiti on streets and alleys. Others used the plywood panels erected on storefronts across the city as their canvas. The empty Kmart became a portrait of the neighborhood. Shopping malls on Lake Street are dotted with community art. Closer to the 3rd Precinct, murals went up on buildings gutted by fires that burned during the unrest. In the media, much of this was overshadowed by the colorful mural at Cup Foods, created by a small team of artists led by Zena Goldman and Cadix Herrera. Though it was painted as a tribute, it drew criticism for taking such a prominent position in a space that community members dedicated to the expression of Black perspectives. The artist behind the mural apologized on social media for not engaging the community and not including Black voices in the project. Producer Mark Van Cleve talked with artists whose work has been at the center of this movement about why those voices matter. Melody Strong is an illustrator, muralist, and art educator in North Minneapolis. She helped organize community mural projects and art healing events for kids and neighbors at the George Floyd Memorial site. Peyton Scott Russell is a graffiti artist and educator who grew up just down the street from where George Floyd was killed. The giant black and white portrait of Floyd around the corner from the colorful mural is his. So are other spray-painted pieces across Minneapolis.
Like most people, it affected me really deeply, like it differently than the other ones. And I thought I was kind of alone on that. Man, I was ready to get suited up and go out there and do something about it. First time I ever felt like that, you know. I think it had to do with, again, the video. And I continue to see my dad's face, you know, under that knee, and I couldn't like get that picture out of my head.
You hear this man calling out for his mama, and that's what really got me. Being a mother myself, being as tight as I am with my son, I can see my son doing that, and that really hit me.
I didn't want to highlight that person. I wanted to use his face as sort of the icon of this uprising, because now that is the person that this happened to that kind of exposed it to the world. It's just, you know, social media and recording that people are finally seeing that this happens to us daily. You know, I live over north. All you do is drive around and you'll see how cops pull us over to stop and frisk. I personally have been brutally profiled 3 times. Yeah. My painting style is kind of messy. I like to drip and I like to kind of overspray with aerosol and spray paint, so there's a lot of depth. But also I was weeping when I was doing it at times. Seeing the size of his face and what I was feeling, and I was painting it during the heaviest uprising moments when our city was burning. that's when I was doing it. I painted the piece for the people, for a point of understanding, healing, something that just had a high level of impact and comfort too. You know, you see that face, it's like now you can stand next to it, take your selfie, kind of say, yeah, this, you know, that's what I wanted. And of course, that's exactly what has been happening.
Okay, the painting has commenced. We got a good crowd after the protests and the march today. So let's check things out here. As an artist, I've tried to do advocacy and social justice work in my paintings and in my illustrations, and even when I teach. The artist group that I'm a part of is called the Rojo Collective. They were actually the first to be at the memorial. Before any other painting was done, we put up a canvas and they started to paint, and they allowed the community to paint on that canvas while they were there. You know, this is my work. The stuff in here, my work. But when I'm out on the street or I'm at a mural and I have the community involved, it's about them. Say hi, Abby. Now I might provide the outline, the sort of basic design, but they're the ones that add the color, the texture, their mark. And for them to be able to walk by and say, I did that, that's valuable, and that's identity.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I think people now have seen the power of like this artistic voice. If you allow areas to be painted, like all the boarded up areas, it's beautiful. And I think it's so healing. I think we so need that, for people to be able to have that, those spaces, those main street spaces to say things.
Our community will always stand up, because that's what we have to do. We have to stand up, and we have to rebuild. We have to reconcile. We have to grieve. We have to heal. We have to do this over and over and over again. Every time one of these incidents happen. We saw this when Trayvon Martin was murdered. And here we are, what is that, 8 years later? And has anything really changed? So I'm hoping that seeing this man beg for his life, call out for his mama, is really going to be what it's going to take to make the change.
We're going to continue telling the story of what this moment means for our community. Next time, we'll explore the future of policing in Minneapolis. As always, subscribe and let us know what you think down in the comments. Thanks for watching.